Folks, yesterday, the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump was in North Carolina at Fort Bragg speaking before American troops. Normally, when a person who occupies the Oval Office is speaking to American troops, they don't give partisan speeches because the military is not partisan. Yet yesterday, that's exactly what he did. He had these troops jeering at the media assembled. It was a gross speech. What was really shameful was this idiot talking about restoring the names of Confederate domestic terrorists to military bases. Now, keep in mind what happened here. Congress passed a law getting rid of these names, saying we don't want military bases named after Confederate white domestic terrorists. Well, Republicans didn't like that. Donald Trump really didn't like that. So he's been hell-bent on saying, no, we need to reverse that. Listen to this.
For a little breaking news, we are also going to be restoring the names to Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee. We won a lot of battles out of those forts. It's no time to change. And I'm superstitious. You know, I like to keep it going, right? I'm very superstitious. We want to keep it going. So that's a big story. We just announced that today to you for the first time. They said, why didn't you wait till Saturday? I said, I can't wait. I got to talk to my friends here today. This is a record crowd. You know, you never had a crowd this big. That's an honor. You think this crowd would have showed up for Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you are wrong, and you're shameful and despicable. But let me tell you what they're doing. They're not reverting back to the Confederate names. What these racists did was go find other soldiers that had the same last name as the Confederate folk and then renaming it after them. These people literally are stupid, Joy. They're stupid.
They're stupid, and they're also very racist. That is what's happening here. And I'm going to be honest with you. What was most concerning wasn't Donald Trump. It were the claps and the cheers and the jeers from the audience. We have a problem here, and it's not just Donald Trump. We spend so much time on him. But the fact of the matter is we have a racist populace. I don't think they're the majority of people, but there is a defining number of people out there who are bigoted against racial and ethnic minorities, against women. They're misogynist and sexist towards women, of course, sexual orientation minorities as well. And as a nation, we're going to have to talk about that. Why is that? Why has that been allowed to take hold? You know, I'm sure, you know, some of us have, you know, there's some blame in terms of the way we communicate with people. I think that folks have been left behind, which makes them privy and prey to this type of thinking. But a lot of the racism and bigotry that we falsely thought had subsided was really just lying dormant. It is a cancer. And we need to be talking about that in our churches and in our personal relationships. And, you know, for those of us who have relationships with Republicans, our neighbors, we need to be, who are these people? Where are they? Where does it come from? And whose onus is it to fix it? And I think it's white Americans' onus. So we need to figure out that part, because these people are going to be there once we get rid of Donald Trump in 4 years and neutralize him politically in 2. And I believe we will do that. We still have a populace of people who will be dormant again. That's a problem.
But Rebecca, these people have not been left behind. They want to go back to where it was. Let's be real clear. They ain't been left behind anywhere. They don't like where we are going.
You know, the interesting thing is the rank and file of the military is extremely diverse. It's overwhelmingly Black and brown. And so even though we saw visually look like all white people behind Trump, white military folks behind Trump when he made that announcement, these people are going to FAFO. They're going to F around and find out. You can't just show up to a base talking that stuff and don't think that you're not going to get handled. So he could say what he wants to say. He could try to be cute and clever by reverting to those last names that represent racist Confederate traitors to this country. He could do all those things. Every president has the ability to name and rename different military installations. At the end of the day, though, all of these people who think that they're Trump, they think that they're big and bad. People are going to reach the breaking point in this country where the normal everyday racists can't go up to Black people and say these things. They're going to find out real fast. And so what I'm concerned with what I'm very concerned with in our country is that the temperature is steadily being turned up. And to what point is this president willing to keep turning the temperature up? What is it that he wants? Does he want a full-out civil war? Does he want to incite violence? Does he want to have some type of coup? Does he want to have worse happening in this country? Because people are tired. Just everyday life is so hard now. It's very expensive for people, and people are feeling that. And I am really curious, to what end is Trump willing to go? Because I don't think the population in this country is willing to go down the path that he wants to take this country down.
Joe?
Yeah, I think you'll reach a breaking point. He's not very thoughtful in terms of what it is that he's trying to do. You know, divide and conquer can only go so far, particularly when fundamentally at the end of the day, you are in the process of being outnumbered if you're not outnumbered already. Can you, to Rebecca's point, keep turning the heat up? Eventually you can turn the heat up and everything around it is going to burn. Everything around it, there's going to be pressure, and there'll be people going back and forth. There'll be people that aren't, that aren't enamored with the Republican Party, or maybe they aren't enamored with the president for a different host of reasons. But a lot of it, I believe, will eventually come bearing down on him and bearing down on them. And so they really do have to decide how much they want to go through and what it is that they're trying to do. And ultimately, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face when you're just turning people against each other. And you think, it's interesting. Something is happening here. Donald Trump thinks that with what he's doing, he'll always be, shall we say, politically safe, right? And at the same time, people that support the president while ignoring what he does that's unconstitutional, that's unseemly, that's illegal, et cetera, they think they'll always be safe, right? And so, interestingly, I think that all of the players in this thing are going to become very, very surprised, because ultimately they'll figure out the thing that they either actively participated in, actively made happen, or looked at with a crime of omission, for lack of a better term, or allowed to happen, ultimately comes back and bites them. And that's what I think everybody on that side of things will eventually have in common.
Roland, can I get in again?
Bottom line is, okay.
I want to believe Joe and Rebecca, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm thinking this is like 1930s Germany. I think a lot of these folks who we think are going to reach a breaking point might not. I hope they will. I pray that they will. I will be working towards making sure that they do. But I think a lot of these folks are willing to go along just to say that they aren't wrong, are willing to go along to protect their own safety. This is why he's cutting off every path to safety. The encroachment on the law and him approaching what he's going to do to American citizens is there meant to frighten us. And there are people who are thinking, who's going to stop him? The stupid Democrats who are engaging in a re-election right now? No. And internal politics? No. Not them. Who's going to stop them? You got military people who seem to be aligned with Trump. Who's going to stop them? Everyone is silent, including our former presidents. We have got to do something. Otherwise, we are going to find ourselves in a Nazi Germany regime. We are not there yet, but we can get there. Yep. And we cannot afford to think The American people are going to come to their senses.
Got it.
They have not done so.
All right, folks. All right.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.